Can you guys see me? So I'm trying to like manage this. I'm trying to manage the charger here, because if the charger goes off, then you won't be able to like hear what I'm saying. So I took my Nook out of, it wasn't in storage, but it was somewhere else. So it's a, I'm sorry, it's not a Nook, it's a Kindle. So it's like a white paper Kindle, and I downloaded a couple articles that I wanted to read to you guys. So the first one is an article that Halle Berry, it's an interview, excuse me, that Halle Berry gave to AARP, and it was kind of like a summary of her career and such, but it was also, it just touched on a lot of aspects of womanhood, and I just think that she is so interesting because like there's so many like black men who fetishize Halle Berry in these ways. Like they've written songs about her and done all these things, but then the weird part is they come across women in society who are phonetically very similar to her, and they treat her like trash in the same way that they've treated all the women. So to me, it doesn't make any sense. It's like they say, oh, we love these women are so beautiful. It's like, clearly not. Like, you don't love them or her or anyone. And it's just like, I mean, there's nothing left. Extra nothing. It's just, it's incredible. Anyway, so hearing her experience about this, just her experience really as an adult, because at this point she's 55, right? This is a grown-ass woman. She's about to be like a senior citizen. So to hear her kind of talk about life, life as a woman, life as a black woman, life as a person who's had a lot of access, life as an actress, it's just, it's fascinating. So let's read this one out. It's called How Halle Berry Found Her Groove. The actress-director has had career success and family fulfillment, but never at the same time until now. Sorry, stay here. By Natasha Stoyanov. If you're a man reading this, be forewarned. Halle Berry and I are in the middle of some frolicking, giggle-inducing, straight-from-the-heart girl talk, and at least one of us, me, is discreetly sipping a Sex and the City Cosmopolitan. And maybe I'll try to edit this to include the photographs that they chose to include here, but it's like her winning her Oscar, which was a big moment for black women. That was huge. So it's like a guy could be a good kisser, right? Wait, did I skip a page? It's like a guy could be a good kisser, right? I'm saying, and then you end up staying with him for years just because of that. Oh, that's funny. Berry nods vigorously, a knowing nod that shakes her gold-streaked mane. And not just with him, she adds, and reeled up, but stuck. Because now you're in something. That's so true. This is my first chat with Oscar and Emmy and Globe winning actress via long-distance Zoom. Oh, because of the pandemic times. But even though we're virtual strangers, Berry's the kind of woman who connects with her fellow tribeswoman instantly and isn't afraid to dive into the nitty-gritty. Well, she's been in front of the spotlight long enough, you would think, right? After our talk about the ghost of bad boyfriends past, I bring up a heartbreaking scene halfway through her new film, Bruised, and we are very quickly near tears. In the scene, her character, down and out mixed martial artist, MMA fighter Jackie Justice, is walloped against the wall by her abusive boyfriend. Oh no. As her younger son watches. Oh, that's awful. It's the kind of domestic abuse Berry experienced as a child, watching her alcoholic father strike her mother, and as an adult too. So many women will relate to it, I say. I know, Berry says, giving her another nod, and minutes later we're revved up again, because even though the film, her directorial debut, is grim and violent at times, it's also packed with love, enlightenment, and ultimately hope. It ends with a character revived, a family reconfigured, and a woman triumphant, eerily echoing Berry's life today. I believe in destiny, but we have to do our part to realize that destiny. I don't think things that are destined are going to happen if you sit and do nothing. Halle Berry, speaking from her home in Los Angeles. Berry is the picture of contentedness, with work, motherhood, and finally, for the first time, meaningfully, she says, love. Wrapped in a soft green sweater and surrounded by tropical plants, deep green Monstera Deliciosas to be precise. She is gracious, funny, warm, and vulnerable, makeup free, and hair tousled after a day of back-to-back errands, meetings, interviews, and mom duty. She is nevertheless luminous. That's lovely. And smiling with good reason. In the middle of a whirlwind PR tour for 2 films, in Moonfall, she plays a NASA executive, and Bruised, a Netflix title, blasted to number 1 Netflix after its debut in November. Days later, Berry inked a multi-film deal with the streaming company to star and produce more films. Oh, that's great. Unlike her underdog character Jackie Justice, Berry fought hard to reach this beautiful place in her life. Growing up in Cleveland, her parents, dad was black and mom white, divorced when she was raised by her mother, a psychiatric nurse, who moved Berry and her older sister to an all-white neighborhood and schools. A white woman on her own with 2 biracial kids in the late 90s was challenging, but my mother was this super strong warrior woman, Berry says. Halle was photographed in 2022 wearing a sequin top and a funky gray and black wide-leg pants. And so I think I turned this HTML article into a PDF, so I feel like some parts are left out, but we're just going to keep reading. And so is her daughter, a driven, determined teen. Berry was a high school honors student, prom queen, and beauty contestant who dabbled in broadcast journalism at Cleveland's Cuyahoga Community College before pulling up stakes and eventually moving to New York to pursue her dream in acting. Wary of being typecast for her looks, her film debut in Jungle Fever came after she wiped off her makeup and told the director she wanted the crack hoe part in the film instead of the sophisticated wife she was auditioning for. That's fascinating. For the next 2 decades, this became Berry's professional mandate, mining roles meant for women with lighter skin or less striking features and making them her own. Halle is fast on her feet, operating on the edge of instinct. Her boyfriend, musician Van Hunt, wrote on Berry's website, Respin. Grammy-winning Hunt wrote the song title for Bruised. That's what Toni Morrison called an outlaw woman. Berry worked steadily in the 90s, gaining critical notices as substance abusing mother in Losing Isaiah, and an activist in Warren Beatty's political satire, Bulworth. When she realized she could produce the role she wanted herself, she co-executive produced the HBO film introducing Dorothy Dandridge and played the nightclub crooner and first African-American actress to be nominated for a Best Actress Oscar. A sign, perhaps. I believe in destiny, says Berry with a smile, but we have to do our part to realize that destiny, and I don't think things that are destined are going to happen if you sit and do nothing. Berry went on to win an Emmy and a Golden Globe for her portrayal of Dandridge, and 2 years later, she dared destiny a leap beyond where Dandridge left off, winning the Best Actress Oscar for Monsters Ball, in which she played the wife of an executed murderer. I keep the Oscar in my bedroom, she confesses, blushing a little. I don't like people to see it. It's very personal to me. After her Oscar night win, she's gone on to reach pop icon status, playing popular characters in X-Men and John Wick franchises, and reinventing the Dr. No Bikini as James Bond's ally in Die Another Day, but the search for great gritty roles didn't get any easier. Over the last decade, she raised her 2 children and endured some difficult public romances and breakups. See Getting Stuck above, and she found a few, like Frankie and Alice, for which she received a Golden Globe nod for her portrayal of a woman with dissociative identity disorder. But her energies at that time were scattered, she explains. In my 30s, I was so focused on my career, but I had a desire to have children and be a mother, so I felt something was lacking, Berry says. In my 30s, I took the decade to be at home and have children and be a mom, but my career was lacking and I longed to go back to work. Then she read Bruised and jumped back into Hollywood ring, full force, Dukes Up. For the role, Berry trained in jiu-jitsu, judo, taekwondo, kickboxing, and Muay Thai, and brushed up on the Brazilian capoeira she learned for Catwoman. What I noticed the most was her endurance, said co-star and current UFC women's flyweight champ Valentina Shevchenko. Halle never stops. Even after breaking 2 ribs and daily 6-hour training sessions, she was like, let's go, let's do it again. That's because she's got her pedal to the metal this time, and she has no intention of slowing down. Now in her 40s, 50s, Berry's marvels, I've got my babies, my career, and finally have a love in real, meaningful way. For the first time in my life, everything is firing on all cylinders. From her lush garden, the actress tells us more about throwing a good punch, loving a good man, and telling an important story. You seem to live your life so purposefully these days, committing to strong projects, to your health, to your family, and your love. Has something shifted in your outlook? And she responds, a huge life-changing moment in India during a 4-hour group meditation with a shaman on a beach. I saw his aura, and the shaman told me I would see things more clearly going forward, and I would need to react and act. And he was right. When I got back to LA, one of the first things I did was fire my agent who kept pitching me the same things over and over. But now I saw it differently, I said. No, I don't belong here anymore. The very first project my new agent gave me was Bruised, and this project in turn on so many levels changed my life. That's pretty cool. It empowered me. Sometimes we know something or see something or feel something and we talk ourselves out of it. I no longer do that. There are also a ton of personal things that I suddenly saw clearly and I thought, nope, that's how I live today. All the goodness I have in my life now is because of that moment in India. Because I started to take control of my life in a different way. How did you come to both direct and star in Bruised? Directors I respected told me, for your directorial debut, let it be something you love and something you know about. From that moment, I read the script. It was part of me. I was aching to tell it. And this story was a world I knew. Domestic violence, for one thing. Not only have I worked with a shelter for years, but it's how I grew up as a young child with an alcoholic, violent father. As a kid, I saw my mother beaten up, and I knew the horror and helplessness a kid feels. I remember my mother feeling humiliated by what her children had to witness. I am sure parts of what are in my subconscious and in my memory, even these decades later, came out through me in this film. Sorry guys, I'm gonna switch up my legs for a second. Alright, we're back. Well, some people might watch it and think, that's harsh. It felt normal to me, which is how I knew it was true. And I knew I had to go toward the truth and not be afraid of putting this light in the dark places because so many suffer from domestic violence. This is interesting. So she's asking her, how do you view your own mom now after your early childhood brushes with abuse and violence? My mother is one of the strongest women I know. My mom's white, my dad was black, and in the maybe 70s and early 80s, she was raising 2 little black kids after my dad left, and she was alone, a single mom. Parts of her family disowned her. The black side of our family didn't want anything to do with her. And I watched her struggle, be strong, face adversity, persevere, never quit, keep going. Sometimes it isn't what she said, but what she did, and I know that's where I get my perseverance from. And I know as a mother myself that I can tell my children anything, but they're watching what I'm doing, and that's what they remember. And yes, you also realize that our parents weren't perfect, that they made mistakes along the way. And then as you get older, because we become parents and we start making mistakes, we start to have grace for them, and we realize they did the best they could at the time. What's up with all these physically demanding roles in X-Men, John Wick, and now Bruised, which seem to take it to a whole new level? Kicking, punching, and pushing myself to my limits has always been a great healthy release. Like men, women have a lot of pent-up anger and angst and sadness. I needed a healthy way to get this stuff out of my body. Sweating and working out is fuel for me. I'm also addicted to those feel-good endorphins. Sometimes you just gotta hit some shit. Playing Jackie Justice was daunting. How could I make people believe I'm a world-class fighter? I want to be as realistic as possible, and it wasn't easy. I love the sport, and I was a gymnast as a kid. But I had to put in all the work, all the hours, all the training. I never felt like I had enough. I was always searching for another half hour to learn something new. I also wanted to do the sport justice. I wanted to be the other half of a really good fighter. Valentina, who plays the opponent in the final fight in Bruise, is a beast. She is really the reigning MMA champion, and I had to look formidable against her. I broke 2 ribs shooting the big fight you see at the end of the film, and we shot that early, so I had to use my stunt double for one of the other fight scenes. But for the most part, it was all me. The 5 Faces of Halle. Some of her roles that have defined Halle Berry's career. So there's Dorothy. Introducing Dorothy Dandridge. It won an Emmy and a Golden Globe. How does directing compare with acting? And what did you try to bring to the film as an editor? I've never worked harder on anything than getting the money for it and convincing people I could do Bruised. A lot of people counted me out, and I didn't know how I was going to do it all. Directing, acting, producing, how I even put one foot in front of the other every day. But I willed myself to do it because it was important to me. I didn't feel daunted as a director, and I'm glad, because I probably wouldn't have done it if I had. I just felt energized and excited that after 2.5 years I made it to this moment and now have the opportunity to do this. I've worked so hard to get to that first day of shooting. I was grateful and thankful, and the daunting part came at the end in post-production. I thought, holy shit, wow, now I have to put all of this together? The movie's point of view is very female. How did you manage that? Taking a woman's point of view was very intentional. I was determined to not just hire as many women as I could, but also to make sure that the story stayed very female and was told from a specific female point of view. That we talk about things that are very feminine. We went to dark places because that's what women do. That's our sensibility. I also wanted an all-female soundtrack and female composer, so that the sound of the film that supported these characters in the world would be female. And I hired a female production designer to create the look and feel of all these spaces. I knew that would matter also. No black woman has won a Best Actor Oscar since you did for Monsters Ball years ago. Has there been progress toward representation and equity? She says, definitely. When I won the Oscar as I do now, there has been there has been years ago, I didn't see nearly as many faces of color on TV and film percent change. So while no other black woman stands next to me with the Best Actress Oscar, and it's heartbreaking and I wish there were more, I also know that moment at the Oscars was inspiring and made people believe that anything was possible. Today you've got Ava DuVernay, Lena White, Viola Davis, and I can go on and on. Women of color are doing things, and you know what? They're doing things on their own terms in their own way, and they're daring to say, I deserve this. And I say to them, everybody loves an award. We all love when our industry says, you did a great job. But most people will never win an Academy Award, or an Olympic gold medal, or an MMA championship belt. And that doesn't mean the fight's not worth it. It doesn't mean you're not winning. You're working in ways you'd never dreamed of before, and on projects that are reflective of you or your culture or your gender. And that Academy Award, as precious as it is, didn't change my career. The script truck didn't back up to my house a week after I won. For the last years, I've still had to work hard and create my own opportunities. You've struggled with relationships over the years, sometimes very publicly, but you seem at peace now. What gives? Women get stuck in relationships. We want to make it work, we want to fix it, and we often jump into a new relationship to heal from the old one, and we're just rebounding and never take the time to grow and take care of ourselves first. The pheromones take over and pop off from body to body, and you get stuck on stupid, and your body wants what your body wants, and your brain follows instead of your brain leading and your body following. I had this new amazing love in my life, and because of COVID, we spent 4 months talking on the phone. We were forced to only let our brains connect and discover if we had a connection before our bodies decided to get involved. And I've never done it this way. We talked for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and never got tired. I fell in love with his mind, his conversation. I realized I really like him. I really liked who he was, and I can't say I felt that way before. I really believe I found my person, and I fell in love with him before I even met him. My son Maceo, of his own volition, did this little commitment ceremony for us in the backseat of the car, and I think he finally sees me happy, and it's infectious. It was his way of saying, this is good, I like this makes me happy. It was a very real moment for all of us. I teared up, and Van was fighting back tears. Even Maceo knew he said something poignant. It meant a lot to us, and I have 2 children with 2 different fathers. Van has a son. As a mom living this modern blended family, all I care about is that my kids are okay with the decisions I'm making. So you have 2 kids, Nala by her ex-boyfriend model Gabriel Aubry, and Maceo by her ex-husband actor Oliver Martinez. How has motherhood changed you? My kids have been my greatest teachers. Before the world silences them, they're truth tellers. And if as adults we're present and we listen to what they're saying, we can learn a lot about ourselves and about the worlds we live in from their perspective. So I listen to them a lot and I learn. Even when they argue, when they fight, I learn so much from what they know and what they don't know. My daughter Nala was born the year Obama was elected president, so mostly she's known a person of color in that higher position. As a black woman, I was very proud, of course, to see Kamala Harris become vice president, and when I tell my daughter there was a time when I never thought I would see that, she's like, what? What do you mean? We've always had Barack Obama, and I say, no, you've always had Barack Obama. Oh, that's funny. That's actually a really funny point. That's actually worth unpacking, but not now. You remain physically stunning, yet you strive in so many roles to submerge that. And on your website, you talk about eternal beauty that is age-free. What do you want to say to women who worry about getting older? We're all going to get older, our skin is going to shrivel up, and we're going to look different. I see things changing with my face and body, but I've never put all my eggs in that basket. I've always known that beauty is deeper than the physical body you're walking around in, and that's going to fade. And I refuse to become someone who just tries to hold on to a youthful face and not embrace what's most important about being beautiful. How you live your life, how you give back to others, how you connect with people, how you strengthen your mind, your body, and nourish yourself, and how you give in a meaningful way of yourself. The most beautiful people have something radiating inside. Women are told that when we reach a certain number, we're no longer valuable. That's true. I believe the opposite. Society should look at us as jewels as we get older, because the older women get, the more formidable we are. The New York Times best-selling author Natasha Stoyanov's most recent book, The King of Con, is currently in development for a scripted series and docuseries. Wow. Okay, so that was it. I wonder what your thoughts about this are. I think that article is fascinating. I think that Halle as a grown-up is fascinating. I also think that Halle as a mother, I think that Halle as an actress, especially Halle as a black actress, is pretty important to highlight and just kind of like look at as an example of, you know, some of the struggles. I mean, imagine being Halle Berry's ex-husband. Like, I wonder, like, I don't know, it's people continue to talk about men appreciating beauty, and I don't know if you get more beautiful than Halle Berry. So imagine being Gabriel, whatever his name is, and actually being the person who like breaks up with Halle Berry. Sometimes I wonder, you know, it's just kind of like, it doesn't really feel worth it, you know. It doesn't really feel like there are, that's a strange thing to say, but I don't know, I've felt this way for a while, so I might as well say it. It doesn't really feel like there aren't any worthwhile men. Like, it feels like they're all trash, like collectively as a gender. I don't know, if you're in the developing world and you watch this, you know how people always throw out female children? At this point, I would encourage you to throw out male children, because they don't contribute anything. Like, they can't reproduce, and intellectually they aren't very smart. So I don't really understand where the hype comes from. Anyway, that's just my thought, but I wonder how you feel about it. Please comment below, and thank you for listening.